the satellite images coming from eastern Ukraine showing that a new convoy is formed. This one's roughly 8 miles long in comparison to the 40-mile-long convoy we discussed just a few weeks ago that the Russians had outside of Kyiv. What stands out to you from this new intelligence?
Well, what I see, Boris, there are a lot of trucks moving with self-propelled grenade launchers, artillery pieces. So it looks to me as if the Russians are actually making good on their claim that they're going to be moving into the east. So where these pictures were taken is east of Kharkiv. That means that they're going down into the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, the parts of those regions that Ukraine still controls, and they're going to try to take the east. And that is, clearly what they're doing. It's going to be interesting to see if the Russians move up from the south as well. If they do that, that's a clear effort to encircle Ukrainian forces that are in the east. So the Ukrainians need to be very careful at this point and, watch the Russians to see what they're doing in that regard.
More high-level diplomatic visits to Kyiv. On Saturday, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Austria's Chancellor Karl Nehammer became the latest Western leaders to visit the Ukrainian president. A day after Volodymyr Zelenskyy welcomed European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the bloc's foreign policy chief Joseph Borrell. Johnson, one of the most vocal critics of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, reiterated his support for the country.
And we will give you the support that you need, the economic support, but also, of course, the defensive military support, in which I'm proud to say that the UK helped to lead the way.
He pledged to send new armored vehicles, anti-aircraft, anti-tank missiles, and perhaps most significantly, anti-ship missile systems. Those could threaten Russia's large naval presence in the Black Sea.
A picture of 24-year-old Ahmed al-Saadi is laid next to the grave of his friend Abdullah al-Husari, who was killed by Israeli forces in March. Now they're both buried in the same cemetery, a few meters from each other. Both were members of the Islamic Jihad party in Jenin, in the north of the occupied West Bank. Mourners tell us al-Saadi went to confront Israeli forces when they raided the refugee camp early on Saturday. The Palestinian Health Ministry say 30 Palestinians from the occupied West Bank have been killed since the beginning of the year, most during confrontations with Israeli forces.
Meanwhile, Burkina Faso is once again reeling under the devastating consequences of a jihadist attack. The death toll has mounted to more than 80. 59 civilians, 6 pro-government militiamen and 15 military police have now been killed. The impoverished state of Sahel in Burkina Faso has been struggling with Islamist insurgency since a long time now. The attack occurred when Islamist militants raided a civilian convoy that was being escorted by the military police near the town of Arbinda. The location is the so-called three-border area where the frontiers of the 3 countries converge. And this is the area where gunmen linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State roam around. The government, however, announced that the military gave a strong fight to the terrorists as 58 of them were shot down. The government offered congratulations to the defense and security forces for this action.
4 members have recorded their votes in favor of the resolution.
This is the moment that ended Prime Minister Imran Khan's nearly 4 years in office. Khan is now the first Pakistani Prime Minister to be ousted by a no-confidence vote.
All that happened with much political drama.
The Speaker, National Assembly, a member of the ruling party, kept delaying the vote before stepping down just before the constitutional deadline at midnight.
In line with our laws and the need to stand for our country, I have decided that I can't remain in the position of Speaker and thereby resign.
His resignation eventually allowed the voting on the no-confidence motion.
Now, for the first time, a Sudanese militia leader is on trial at the International Criminal Court for atrocities committed nearly 20 years ago in Sudan's Darfur region. Ali Abdurrahman, also known as Ali Kushaib, is suspected of being linked to the Janjaweed armed group. He's been charged with 31 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Based on the charges laid out, it's a huge feat to have Ali Mohammed Ali Abdurrahman finally facing justice. Also known as Ali Kushaib, he's described as having a ruthless reputation as one of the leaders of the Janjaweed militia that terrorized Sudan's Darfur region for years. Among the accusations leveled against Abdurrahman is that he was not a leader disconnected from his foot soldiers' actions, but that he was actively involved in the atrocities.
China's People Liberation Army aircraft entered Taiwan's air defense identification zone on Thursday before being intercepted by Taiwan's Air Force, which broadcast warnings to the PLA planes. One of the aircraft was the Shanxi Y-9 electronic warfare and surveillance aircraft. The plane flew near the Dongsha Atoll and along the border of Taiwan's air defense identification zone before crossing over into the defense zone. Such acts of intimidation from China have not ceased, even amid the Ukraine-Russia war. The U.S. has responded by reiterating support for Taiwan's defense, while warning China that an invasion of Taiwan would be no easy feat.
And I think there's a lot of lessons that are coming out of Ukraine that China has taken very, very seriously. Crossing the Taiwan Straits and conducting an amphibious and/or air assault onto the island of Taiwan and the city of Taipei with the millions upon millions of people in there, the mountainous terrain of Taiwan. Taiwan's a defensible island. We just need to help the Taiwanese to defend it a little bit better.
That's right. French media, of course, limited in terms of what we can say today, Will, so that anything that would be broadcast by media wouldn't impact on voting as it is taking place. But we do have the latest numbers that have come in from the Interior Ministry about participation rates. And at midday, it's at 25.48%, 25.5%. That's 3 points down from 2017, which was seen as a stable figure at that time compared to previous votes. So 2017, you had about 28.5% of voters had turned out at this stage.